Jess, welcome back to another episode of Serial Streamers. How you been?
Good. Just getting ready for the holidays.
Ooh.
Busy as
Wait,
always.
you just got back from Vegas, so you spent Thanksgiving in Vegas.
Yes,
How was
yeah.
that?
It was awesome actually because it's the first time I didn't cook.
Ugh,
We ate at Martha Stewart's restaurant called The Bedford, and it was
nice.
actually really nice. It's at the Paris, and we sat outside in air quotes where, it's like painted like it's outside, but you're inside the casino.
Yeah.
No, it was really nice. The kids had a great time. It was funny though because, we live in California and there's a lot of like no smoking laws, and so
Oh,
I prepared them for the
yes.
smoke. I said, "Listen, you might see adults acting weird because they might have drank too much or they're on something, and also people can smoke inside." And they're like, "Oh, okay." They didn't think anything of it, but then, I mean, within an hour, they were like, "My nose burns. My eyes are watering." And I'm like, "Listen, you're gonna have to get used to it because
Yeah.
this is kind of
This is
what it
Vegas,
is."
baby. I mean, if we're walking the strip and you see a boobie, that's
Yeah,
normal.
yeah,
Like
I
on the ground, like it's normal.
That's
No,
how it goes.
when we were at BravoCon, I hadn't been to Vegas in a while, and this sounds so stupid, but like I had completely for all of a sudden I started smelling cigarette smoke in this bar that we're at. And I was with Katie and her husband Matt. And all of a sudden I was like, God, what stinks? And I'm like,
What?
ah,
What
and I'm
is
like, those people are smoking disgusting. And I'm all, oh yeah, like this
Oh,
is
yeah.
Vegas, like this is
Yeah.
Nevada. And Katie was like extremely sensitive. She's like, oh my God, get it away. And then of course, obviously, like we don't want to wash our hair every day. And so it's like then now
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have to because your hair smells like
Yes.
smoke. It's like a whole thing. But yeah, this ain't California, baby.
No, no, no.
Mm.
But other than
Well,
that, no, it was good. How
yes.
was your
So
Thanksgiving?
it was really good. We did the traditional thing. We had everybody over to our house. And what was cool is I had all three of my kids and my granddaughter under one roof, which is like rare. There's almost
Heaven.
always
Yeah,
like
that's heaven for
one
you.
missing or yeah. So we had like the best time. My parents came over and we just like how my parents are. Like we and my kids, we just laughed the whole time. We talked shit, we laughed, we ate, we laughed some more, and then we laughed again. Like it just
Yeah,
is
oh,
like
yeah.
always just who can tell the funniest story, who can like
Yeah, who can
it
roast the
yeah,
other
who can
one? Yeah.
roast. Yeah, yeah. So it was like we were dying. It was
Yeah.
just the best time. And Novi got to spend the night for 2
Oh,
nights. So I literally got to wake up with a baby. I got to oh my Jesse, I just like
I
I
know it's your
forget.
heaven.
Oh, I was in heaven. Like her
Yes.
diaper butt and her little jammies and her messy hair. I was like, "Oh my God." Like I was in heaven. Like if I could
Aw,
just wake up with her every day,
I
it was
know.
that was the best part,
Yeah.
obviously. So yeah, no, it was super fun. And then me and Steve and Stevie headed out to the condo, our new little beach pad.
Yes.
And we spent the weekend. We're going out there again today. So like literally any weekend that we can spend there, we go there.
That's
And
so awesome.
yeah, I'm super excited about, like, Christmas because we're gonna have even more days off because Stevie will be on winter break for 3 weeks. So we're gonna spend, like I wanna spend, like, 5 days in a row there. Like, I wanna spend, like, a
Yeah.
whole week. I wanna, like, test this baby out. So, no,
And it'll be
everything's been
fun
really
once,
good.
the summer comes too, because then
Oh,
you can really do like a beach summer
beach.
vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, and the condo is literally 3 stoplights from the beach. It's 3 minutes, we've
Wow. Yeah.
clocked it. Like, and
Oh,
and, like,
awesome.
Oxnard is different than other beach cities. You can find parking, you can find a spot on the beach. It's not crazy. You don't have to
Mhm.
pay $20 billion for 2 hours of parking. Like, it's just different. It's
Yeah.
quieter and it's so easy to get on the beach. So, I'm super excited about spring and summer there because we haven't been able to experience that yet because we closed escrow in, like, September and then it
Mhm.
kinda,
And
like,
you were
cooled down.
renovating and
But I
everything.
have to say exactly, we've been renovating. I have to say every single weekend, knock on wood, including this weekend that we're gonna spend, it has been at least 68 to 78 degrees and
I
sunny.
know.
And
It's been
this is November.
incredible.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, now we're in
We're in
December.
December.
Yeah, like this weekend's gonna be 68 degrees and sunny, and we're December. So, like, I thank Lord baby Jesus, like, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
this is why we live in Southern
That's
California,
right.
right? Like,
I
I
know.
love it. Okay, enough about us. We need to get into the documentary that I had suggested a little while back, and then your first response was like, "Well, shit, I have a busy week at work," and you're like, "I don't know if I can tackle a four-parter." I'm like, "Cool, let's move on to something else." Then you started messaging me, and you're like, "You know what? We need to
No,
cover
yeah.
it
Oh,
This
yeah,
is compelling.
because I thought they were go ahead, well, tell what it is and
Well, it's the Diddy doc,
yes,
obviously, like,
yes,
everybody is talking about it, and I was like, "Game on, let's go." I
yes.
binged the first 3.5 episodes of 4 in one sitting
Oh,
because it was
easy.
so
I mean, it was
compelling.
the easiest 4-episode watch that I've ever done, to be honest, or in a long time, and I wanted to cover it because I thought it could get pulled because he filed a cease and desist against Netflix. It just released on the 2nd, December
Yes.
2nd, and what's
Yeah.
today? The whatever, the
The
5th.
5th or 6th,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I was
So
just like, "We
that's what I
better"
told
yeah.
Steve, I was like, "We gotta watch this thing until it might get pulled because I know there's
Yeah.
a cease and desist," although I know, like, Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent's, like, he'll fuck around and find out, like, the guy just really is very ballsy,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
gotta imagine that they understand the legalities and,
Right,
like, and a cease and desist doesn't mean anything other than, "I want you to shut up," but it doesn't
right,
mean that Diddy has any kind of, like, merit to a
right, to,
case
like, shut
against
it down, yeah.
Netflix and 50 Cent. So it's interesting. But yeah, so I binged it pretty quickly. I actually just finished the last part of the last episode while I was doing my makeup for this recording.
Oh,
Yeah,
today.
just
Oh, okay.
today because I was also trying to catch up on Beverly Hills Housewives, which you and I are going to talk about on Say Yes to the
Mhm.
Mess. But okay, let's talk about this documentary. I just want to give you my initial thoughts, which I shared on my social media recently. And then let's like kind of dive into the details and what struck
Mhm.
you. But I had shared on my social media recently that this documentary really validated feelings that I've always had. And I think a lot of people have had about Diddy for decades. Meaning, and it really put together puzzle pieces because I always looked at Diddy as somebody like, I didn't really take him too seriously. Like, I never thought he was
Wow.
cool. I never
He was
thought he
like a
was
little sidekick in my eyes. I just
totally,
thought he
like,
was
he was kind of
somebody's
a
sidekick.
clown, kind of a dork,
Yeah,
not really a ladies' man, but when you get some power and money, then the ladies, they're like, "Okay, cool, we'll accept you even though your mouth never stays closed, like, your mouth is open, it just stays open, like,
a gape.
mouth breather," like,
Yeah.
he just was a dork that tried to sort of like portray himself as like somewhat of like a gangster, but like we would find out in this doc, he's very much not a gangster. Like he did not grow up in the streets. He really wasn't a fighter. He used to get made fun of and get his ass kicked. So it just sort of, and I always saw him as like a try hard, a clout chaser, sort of a pretender. And I always thought it was cringy. And I think that a lot of people have always felt this way that why the fuck are you on everybody's fucking video? Why are you on
I
everybody's track?
know. I know.
I like that. It's like, dude, nobody needs that. Get the track, Biggie's track would be so much better without you.
Yes.
God, get off the track. So this documentary, and I also will say that it was very helpful to have all the people speaking who knew Diddy all the way from childhood to early
Yes.
adulthood to present. And it painted a really well rounded picture of what I perceive as a guy who is deeply insecure, deeply abusive, he's a user, he's an
Mhm.
abuser. He's like, these are my opinions, obviously, but like it just,
Right.
he,
But someone that, like, uses brute force to basically get what he wants, but he's still, like I don't know, he had, like, a lot of yes people around him with this force, I think, got him
I think money
where
buys you
he
that. Money and power
and
buys you
money,
that,
but then
which
once
is,
he started getting
it's kind of
yes.
like you see Michael Jackson. I really do think that part of the reason he died is he had too many yes people around him. So
Yeah, of
just,
course.
so I think it was a function of that. But Diddy, I think that there's something in his psychology. I'm thoroughly convinced that he does not have the ability to form real human interpersonal connections. I think he knows how to sort of like Ted Bundy, the serial killer. He knew how to play like he's into you. He knew how to play like he's in love with you. He knew how to make you think you're his dog, you're his best friend. He loves and cares about you, but really he's just using you for the moment. He's going to trash you and dump you the moment he gets all he can out of you and he's going to move on to the next. I think we saw
Right.
him do it with Andre, who was supposedly his mentor, and Diddy was
Mhm.
supposedly his protege, but I don't think he ever really actually looked up to Andre and loved him in a sense that like, wow, this guy's so amazing. He saw what Andre could provide him as far as a
Right.
long-term career. So those are my
Mhm.
thoughts on it. Like, what were your initial like takeaways after watching
Yeah.
it?
I mean, well, one, I like I said, it was an easy watch.
Yes.
We grew up through this time, like, the development of him, and so this is, like, really mu it's a it's it for our generation, I really related to just, like, the timeline of everything,
Yes.
but to see it all strung together now with him being, like, the common thread through, certain tragedies was, just fascinating, to be honest, and, I mean, I just from my perspective, same as you, like, I just didn't think much about him. He was more like this annoying
Yeah.
fly in the background of things, but I do remember, like, a core memory of when right after Biggie died, him doing that performance with Sting.
Yes.
I will never forget that performance. I'm like, "Oh, dang," and I remember thinking then, like, "Well, here he goes." Like, he
Yes.
now has the front of the
This is
stage.
his jump
Like,
off
it's
point.
no longer
Like, it is
yes.
all of the stage has
But
been
but
cleared.
but masked as, like, grief and a tribute,
Correct.
and it's like I even then, I remember thinking that
Yes.
because I just before that, I just was like, "Oh, he's so annoying," and I didn't like the sound of his voice in any kind of rap that he
No.
was in or any kind of background thing that he was in. I so, yeah, that part, it just was, interesting to see, like, the chronological kind of build up to what we know from the last, like, year or so once he, was arrested and, all the charges brought against him and seeing that. Um, so I loved that part of it. And then also some things that stood out to me is, like, he was surrounded by, like, death and crime
Yes.
and starting with that crushing event
Yes.
that he had for that celebrity basketball game.
Yeah.
So he like, early on in his
In the
career,
early
I think he had
'90s
yeah, yeah.
that I had completely forgotten about. I actually
I didn't even know it
completely
happened.
and you know what?
Oh,
That
I
makes
didn't know.
sense because it's like somebody like him, I can imagine he did everything he could to cover it up. So I just
Right.
wonder now looking back, like, did he do things to scrub the internet or to control,
Well, even
to
yeah,
make sure that,
probably.
like, a lot of people didn't continue finding out about it? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
and even, like, the news, interview he gave at the right afterwards because it was such a big deal. I mean, they were showing footage and this is, like, before cell phones really and anything like that, of, like, people in body bags
limp.
already on, like, basketball court
Yes.
floor, like, they're still doing compressions on
Like,
people, like,
limp
trying to resuscitate
bodies
people.
all around.
Yes,
It was
right,
shocking. I mean, my
yes, and,
jaw
like
was on the
and
floor.
yeah, and the interview that he gave,
Mm.
and it said, like, event promoter under his name as, like, his who he was to this event and why he was speaking. He almost was not taking any accountability, what I saw, he just was like, "We've gotta do better.
Yes.
We need to make sure this never happens again," but making it seem like,
He took no
somebody dropped the
accountability.
ball, not me, like, that he didn't drop the ball, but somebody
No, and
did.
and it was painted basically, it was insinuated that he over promoted this event, so too many people
Mhm.
were trying to get in, and that's what happens, like, people get FOMO or causes mania and crowd dysmorphia, like, whatever is going on, and they rush the door, and that's what happens, so I have no issue believing that he did over promote the event, like, that's kind of what he did and what he was good at,
Right.
but
Mhm.
also, you're right, like, he took no accountability, and I think even in the doc, they pointed out that, like, they tried to put it on the police, like law enforcement didn't get there quick
Right.
enough or this or that. Like, no, bro. At that point, people were already dead and crushed. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really was not law enforcement's problem. Like, it really was like,
Mm-mm.
you probably did over promote the shit out of this thing. Too many people came. They all had FOMO. They wanted to get in. They rushed the door, and that was it. And they got stuck. So, yeah, he was going to take no accountability. And oddly enough, what I found interesting too is that Diddy even admitted, ironically enough, that crushing event where 9 people died really propelled him into celebrity. Like, it made him famous. It put his name in people's mouths and in their minds, and that's exactly what he wanted. And it's almost like he just moved on. I don't know if I don't think he ever was held responsible, or I don't know if there were any, like, wrongful death lawsuits filed against him, and it also, though, at the time, I don't think he was worth much. So I don't know if the families would have come after him, or, so I would like to
Mhm.
dive more into that. But you're right, going back to your original point, that was one thing that really stood out to me, was that how much death and violence happens while Diddy's present and or his people are present,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
there's, like, obviously the Mike Tyson fight, and there's the scuffle at the MGM Grand, which I was just there, so it's kind of weird to think I was walking around the place when this major event in our history, like, happened. The fight happens with the Crips and with Tupac and his people, and then Tupac ends up getting murdered. And it's very well known that by then Diddy had an affiliation with the Crips. Like he would use them as security or, and he would say, "Oh, I never hired any Crips." But also there's ways around that. Like maybe he's using kind of wordplay. Maybe he never actually like hired them, or maybe he did. But also like there's also like a gentleman's agreement too that could be happening where, he's like, "Hey,
Right,
you got my back, da 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 da." So it's like while Diddy wasn't present in Vegas when Tupac died, his people were. And there have
right.
been ways that people have been able to potentially connect Tupac's death to Diddy. I'll fast forward and just say, like, just based on everything I know today, and I did cover this case on Murderish, I absolutely believe, in my opinion, that Tupac did have something to do, if not was directly responsible for
Oh, Diddy, you're saying
yeah, I'm
Diddy.
sorry, that
Oh, yeah, Diddy had
Diddy
something to do.
was potentially directly responsible for Tupac's
Mhm.
murder. It makes so much sense now that I really,
It does.
really think about it, and they really did a good job in this documentary of saying, like, Biggie and Tupac were genuine friends. Tupac was actually, like, genuinely happy to see him jumping off and doing well, and that Biggie's album was doing well, and that he was kinda coming up in the game, and he wanted to, like, do things with him, and I can imagine a scenario where Tupac's kinda hitting Biggie up at some point, like, "Bro, let's do business together. Let's collaborate.
Right.
Let's that." And that was could have been a threat to Diddy because Biggie was Diddy's money train. Like he was his money train. So it just all that's interesting. But again, back to your original point, it's like those are just two instances that we can talk about where death is connected to Diddy. There's so many
Mhm.
others. There
Right, and that was, like, I think I didn't know all the details where Diddy was connected to Tupac's death. I mean, I remember hearing about it then
yes.
because it was right at the height of the East versus West. They had the Source
It
Awards
sounded
where Suge
far-fetched back
Knight
then.
said
It sounded like
yeah,
a
but
little conspiracy theory-ish.
yeah, but it was a big the East versus West rap
Right.
rivalry was at the peak, and they showed the Source Awards where Suge Knight said, "Co if you don't want your producer all up in the video, all up in your song,
Yeah,
like,
dancing
come
in the
come to Death Row."
video.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you come to death
but,
row.
I love that they had and I think don't quote me on this, and I might have saw it on a TikTok really quick or something, but I think so there's a police officer who or there was a detective who was on this documentary who kind of drug up the cold case of
Back in
Tupac and was
2006, I think.
yes, was reinvestigating, and then they found that guy who basically admitted to didn't he admit to
TPD.
that Diddy Diddy was going to pay
Yes.
$1,000,000 um, to take out P Tupac
Yes.
if they could when they found the opportunity to do so,
Mhm.
"I will pay you a 1,000,000." They only end up getting 500,000. Like, he admits to all
Yeah,
of it,
Keefe D basically
right?
yeah, and Keefe
Yes,
D is going on trial, I wanna say next year for Tupac's murder. So this is gonna be interesting, but yeah, he's
right.
basically singing like a bird, like, he basically is saying that Orlando Wilson, I think they called him Lane for short, who was a known Crip, who was
Mhm.
also known to be connected with Diddy, uh, he had gotten his chain stolen. There was somebody
There was a fight in
there
the
was a
casino. You're talking about the
there was a I
fight
think there was a
in the
blood this is before the MGM Grand situation. I wanna say there was a blood out in public wearing a chain, and that somebody from the Crips who were affiliated with Diddy went and stole the Blood's chain, and it was almost like and it was insinuated that Diddy's like, I want a chain. Like I want it's like almost like as a trophy piece, something like that. I'm sure I'm saying this all wrong. But then anyway, everything culminated at the MGM that night and Tupac had heard, he got a whisper in his ear that hey, so and so's here, the guy that tried to snatch the chain. And then he went and like they tussled, they
they
fought.
fought, yeah, they fought in that
Tupac
yeah, mhm.
left with Suge Knight. He gets shot, and Keefe D is basically saying, yeah, he was in the car, I believe, when I want to say it was Orlando Wilson pulled out the gun and shot Tupac. I think that's what Keefe D is saying. But basically,
And he was saying that their people were saying, "This is your opportunity," because they were fighting, Orlando. They fought Orlando, and so it's a perfect, kind of like, opportunity to show, like, "Okay, well, they came at us, we came back at them,"
yes,
but they were waiting for like, he was saying that they were waiting for an opportunity to murder Tupac,
yes.
and this was a perfect opportunity, and it was interesting that he said, they were supposed to meet at I don't know, it was like some strip club, if they
662,
heard that
Club
they were there yeah,
662 or something like
but
that.
when that they weren't there, but they had turned around and it was fans who were like,
Girls,
"Tupac,
yeah.
Tupac," Yes, and he said had they not done that, they would have passed right by their car. He might have, maybe that they would have missed that opportunity because they didn't even know where he was yet in Vegas because
Yeah.
they were, like, looking.
Keefe D said he almost made it too easy, like, Tupac's
Yeah,
hanging out the window talking to these girls, telling them to get in the car, and it's like, "Oh, shit, there's Tupac." And then
yeah.
Keefe D also alleges that after Tupac's murder, that Diddy got on the phone with somebody and was like, "Was that us? Was that us?" Meaning, like, "Are
Mhm.
we responsible for that?
Yeah.
Are we meaning
Mhm,
him?" So,
mhm.
and that there was supposed to be $1 million payment, and allegedly only 500,000 was paid, but not to it never made its way to Keefe D. And the theory behind that is that Diddy only wanted to pay half of the million because they also did not kill Suge Knight. And
Right.
allegedly, he wanted both of them dead, Tupac and Suge. And honestly, that
Mhm.
all makes sense to me. It is not far
Right.
fetched at all. And listen, there's enough smoke on Diddy. There's enough violence and death that surrounds
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. It's like it's not a far stretch of the imagination that he would allegedly go and pay someone to take Tupac and Suge Knight out, who were both threats to him, both
Right.
financially and maybe also physically, as far as Suge,
Mhm.
but like mostly financially. Like Death Row was the roadmap. Like they were the blueprint that Bad Boy was trying to emulate.
Yeah, they said they were choose like, dissecting their
Tupac
stuff, trying
videos.
to.
Yes.
Yes,
Sound.
and music and sound and
Yeah.
everything to try to get the right formula to make it sound like that,
Yes,
you
and it
know?
makes so much sense because it's
You
like, again, Diddy's just a pretender. Like, he's just
Right.
really not all that, but
No
he
actual
knows
talent.
yeah, but he is smart. He is of high intelligence, and he knows how to copy his way to the top. He knows how to manipulate his way to the top. He knows how to abuse his way to the top. He will
Yeah,
climb over anybody and do anything to be that guy that gets stopped in the street. "Diddy, let's take a picture. Diddy's on stage. Diddy's" and the way that they alleged that Biggie was supposed to be on the Rolling Stone cover, and allegedly Diddy was like, "Yeah, no, scratch that. Take Diddy or take Biggie off. I need some attention because my solo album, which is a fucking joke, is about to drop and I need some attention."
right.
And then there's like that stupid Rolling Stone cover of fucking Diddy with fake six-pack
I
abs.
know.
Don't excuse me, he's had a dad bod since day one. Don't even tell me that was spray painted on.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh, definitely.
But those are the same things stood out for me as did for you. And basically, what was also interesting, it's like, how did they get some of this footage? Like, it's
Right.
almost like BTS, like behind the scenes footage that's like, how did 50 Cent get this? And I think I saw a clip of 50 Cent being like, yeah, I'm not revealing my sources, you know?
Right.
But
Oh, yeah, I love it. He's like, I don't think he's like, what don't they say good, journalists don't reveal
yeah,
their
and he's
sources?
absolutely right.
Yeah,
So in the documentary started out and they kept flashing so they would basically the way that the documentary was formatted was like you'd get an interview from somebody who knew Diddy as a child and was kind of describing, oh, he was kind of a, he got made fun of, he didn't really fight, his mom, was this or that. But then they would flash forward to this behind the scenes footage where apparently in the weeks leading up to Diddy's arrest for all those federal charges, he had filmmakers following him around just days before his arrest while he's like holed
right,
up in this like New York hotel and he keeps looking out the window and there's like either federal agents or like law enforcement on the roof across the
right.
building. So he was under federal investigation at this time and he hired filmmakers to get the footage and now 50 cents using that footage.
Yeah, which is so it's like a
Fucking ironic.
touche, bitch.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's like
checkmate,
it's
bitch.
yeah. That's like a really that's why this documentary, it's so good on so many levels, but, like, that really leveled it up because it opens with this, he's in New York pre-arrest, but he knows he needs to get to New York, but I think I saw something else, I don't know if it's, like, on CNN, I forget which news source, but there was a guy saying he believes he hired these filmmakers because he was already assuming he was gonna be, like, acquitted, like, there wasn't gonna be
Yes,
it wouldn't go as far as it did. And so I think once he got actually officially arrested, the footage was up for sale kind of, or
gotcha.
there was a
And
way
that's
that you
how it
could
works.
try to gain access.
That is
Yeah,
exactly how it works. There's another case I'm thinking of where footage got out and everybody's like, "Well, how the hell" I'll think of it in a second. How the hell this footage get out? And it's like, basically, this shit is for everything's for sale. Everything is for sale. This was very compelling footage. Like after Diddy's arrest, the price tag on that footage skyrockets.
Goes up.
So it's
Yeah,
like somebody's gonna pay some amount for it, and
right,
that's makes so much sense that that's what happened. It's not really
right, and that's what we know that 50 Cent that he's the one that bankrolled that,
yes,
correct?
and he's got
I
all
think
the
he's
money in
the
the
one that
world.
yeah,
So somebody
which
like
is
50 Cent could pay the money to get that footage, whatever it was.
that's right.
So
Mhm.
it is compelling. So and in this footage, it really pissed me off, obviously, because Diddy is about Diddy. He's always going to be the victim. Oh man, they're bringing some bullshit a case against me.
Right.
All these civil lawsuits for SA are being filed against him. He's like, man, can you believe Dawn? Oh, not Dawn. I never had a problem with that girl. Let me just say something right now. And I know that I'm probably stating the obvious, I would imagine at this point. It is very clear to me, okay, I'm speaking in my opinion, it is very clear to me that Diddy is an abuser of multiple people, men and women. And I'm talking
In
verbal,
multiple ways.
emotional,
Yes.
psychological, physical, and sexual. All of the above. I believe it. There is a, and I hate to put it so lightly, but there is like more than enough smoke. There's more than enough
Oh
accounts.
my,
I
look at
believe
that.
Joy.
Mhm.
Joy was featured in the doc. I absolutely believe that woman. There's no reason not to.
Right,
Her mom wrote a fucking letter to Diddy's
right.
family saying, "Do you know what your son did to my daughter and how it affected her?" Like that is so compelling. So I will not be
Well, look
here.
at
Yeah,
Cassie. I mean,
Cassie.
Cassie
Oh my god.
so that and that 'cause she sued him outside of this, what he was these federal charges, she sued him for, sexual assault and all those things, and they settled out of court.
Yes, for millions.
So that yeah, and that shows you something right there,
Yeah.
and then we had that footage of the hotel and, like,
Yes.
showing him actually abusing
Yes,
her
and
and
playing devil's advocate, even though absolutely I do think it speaks loudly that he settled out of court for multi-millions of
mhm,
dollars. Sometimes I understand that a celebrity or a very powerful person, it behooves them to settle out of court, not because they're guilty, but because it's better for their reputation not to have this hit the public eye. So I understand that
mm,
that is a strategy, and I can understand a high profile person enlisting that strategy, even though they're not guilty. That being said, we have so much other evidence, literal bruises and cuts on Cassie, accounts,
emails, like,
emails,
why would
eyewitness.
you
We have
email? Like, "I
video
need the
footage.
Effie right
We
now."
have video
Yeah,
footage of it. Like,
I
we
know,
know
it's
this happened. We know if that video footage doesn't tell you exactly who Diddy is, that is a disgusting. He didn't hit her once, he didn't kick her once, he did it multiple times, and he did
mhm,
it while she was down. Not that it should matter. If she's standing, it's just as bad. But you know what I mean? Like, that takes a special kind of person, and not special in a good way, to be able to do that to a woman who's already been rendered not unconscious, but like she's not a threat to you. And you still have to stomp at her and kick her and hit her. He's a disgusting, power hungry, abuser, dangerous person. I doubt he could ever be rehabilitated. He is a danger to society.
I
And
know,
I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Just toward the end of the documentary is when they touch on Diddy's trial, where he was convicted on 2 counts under the Mann Act of basically like
right,
transporting people, individuals for prostitution across state lines. But he was acquitted of the more serious charges. And that
right,
is a fucking shame. Now, what I will say is I've been a juror before. I was not on this jury and I did not watch the trial. So I cannot, I don't know that if it was a function of the feds did not do a good enough job to explain the nuances of power and control and coercive control and abuse, and how so many victims of abuse will go back and it will happen again and then they will go back. But that doesn't mean that they like it. It doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean that they want it. It is nuanced. And I don't know that the
right.
feds did a good enough job of explaining to the jury how that works. And or I don't know if it was a function of this jury is just a bunch of fucking assholes that aren't progressed in their brains, that don't understand. So let me talk about why I'm so worked up. There were 2 jurors that were interviewed in this documentary, as you know,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
both of them triggered the fuck out of me, but the man really triggered me because he said something that made me
same.
understand he does not get it. He doesn't understand how domestic violence, what it does to a person. He doesn't understand coercive control. He doesn't understand that
The
the
manipulation and, like, the
manipulation.
drugging she
Yeah,
endured and
dude,
yes,
and the grooming from a young age, this
right.
is all she knew with him. So
Like, he chalked it up to a toxic
oh, that
relationship.
they were both, really, obsessively
In love.
in love, and but when he said something, this juror, he said, "Well, Cassie, she can't have the money and then, not have the abuse. She can't have it both ways." Something like that, like he was pissed off at her, like he was judging her for, "Oh, you're being spoiled with all this money, so, like, I don't feel sorry for you that now that you're being abused, like, you clearly wanted it because you wanted diamonds," and it just he
Yes.
doesn't fucking get it. He sounds like a
No.
3rd grader, you know what I mean? Like, when you're a
Yes.
3rd grader, yeah,
Processing
you
it. Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
understand, you're like, "Well, clearly she wants this because she keeps going back to him, duh," you know? But
Right.
it's like, that's not how it works, and it pissed me off, so then it made me think maybe he's just not progressed enough that he just can't ever understand that that's just really not how it works and that she didn't deserve an ounce of what she got, no matter if he's fucking spoiling her with money or not. Um, or like I said before, the feds may have not done a good job to teach this jury because this is not a black and white case. You know what I mean? Like it's nuanced and you have to understand this is really complicated. You have Cassie sending text messages back to her abuser saying, "Oh, I love a freak off," or something,
Right.
don't quote me
Mhm.
exactly, or "I love you. I'm so happy with this." Things like this, but you don't understand she's also still being severely abused,
Victimized.
victimized, and
Yeah.
she doesn't want it. She doesn't want it, she doesn't like it, but she's also placating her abuser. She's also trying to keep
Exactly.
him
Had
happy.
probably safety for her own
That's
life.
it.
Like, she was literally looking out for her own
Yes,
life in a way,
and in some twisted thing and fashion, and that I have people very close to me who grew up in very, very, very abusive,
Yes.
situations, and this person still so desperately wanted a loving relationship with their
Relationship.
abuser, and that
Yep.
is what happens, and that is real, and it doesn't mean that they deserve the abuse, they wanted the abuse, they like the abuse. It just means that their abuser has fucked them up in the mind and, like, manipulated them and groomed them and just
Right.
coercively
'Cause
controlled.
he did say he said, "These were 2 consensual adults," is what the juror said, and that's why I was just like, "Oh, no, he does not
Babe,
get it."
mm-mm. When you
No.
and also the
Um,
drugs, let's talk about, like, just I
yeah.
know you wanna make a comment, but it's like the drugs, it's like Cassie was heavily drugged, like, for it seems like the majority of their relationship. It's like, how can she
Mhm.
make decisions? She can't. If you're
Right.
inebriated, we all know how that works. Stay away from the woman. Stay away from her.
Right.
If she's had 2 drinks and seems a little tipsy, tonight's not the night to try to get some action. That's just how it works,
Right.
but I don't know. I got so freaking pissed off at this juror.
I know. The other juror pissed me off
She
too.
did.
So it was a female, and what like, this was, like, my big trigger for what she brought up about the trial is that she kept saying that there were things that, it was when, Capricorn, I think, was on the
Diddy's
stand.
assistant.
She was overly emotional, so it was kind of confusing to hear, to kind of believe the things that she was saying, and she said that even Diddy would, like, look back at the jurors like, "Can you believe this?
Yes.
Like, can you believe this?" He first of all, he should not even be
Never.
allowed. He should be thrown out or they should pause whatever's
Yes.
happening. He should not be interacting with the
Because that's
jurors at all.
manipulation.
So that pissed
That's
me off.
that's
Just
manipulation.
it is, and she's like and there was a point where he was like, "Can you believe this?" And she said she felt the same
Yes.
way, and they made eye contact. So she's like, "We both agreed." Her and Diddy both agreed what she was saying was ridiculous, but it's like, why is he even able to turn his head in the slightest and give them a reaction and be like, "Hey, can you believe this, jurors? Can you believe what they're saying?" Like, he should be I don't know, they need to do what do you do? Like, throw him out of
Yes.
court or
You
pause for the
do.
day or
You
take a
admonish
break? Like,
them.
why is the judge and why was that not being clocked? That bothered me because I that is exactly he's manipulating the jurors,
Yes.
So I don't know, it's like
No,
get
it's
me all
inappropriate.
fired up right now. It's like the manager in me basically, it's like I'm pissed because, like, that courtroom probably wasn't run correctly either, which is another obstacle that we have to overcome or the
Yeah.
prosecutors had
Yeah.
that they had to overcome and the, defense was able to up whatever, I don't know. It was that made me so mad because 'cause I'm just like, it's now he's kinda getting what he's still trying to get out of jail. I mean, he's gonna get
He's
out.
still manipulating inside the fucking
I
courtroom, and
know,
they did say
I
that
know.
during the trial that Diddy was admonished at least, like, maybe
Oh,
once,
what?
but,
No. Thank God.
but literally this woman on the jury basically admitted that I was bonding with him in that moment. I was
Yes.
agreeing like, "Uh-huh, yeah, I've got you, Diddy,
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't sound yeah, it doesn't make
yeah,
sense to me
this is
either.
crazy,
Yeah.
this Capricorn up here crying." And let me talk about Capricorn. She said that Diddy came in with a gun, at which we know that he loves guns and we know that he
Mhm.
loves drugs, okay? So I
Right,
can just imagine a scenario that he's fucking pilled out of his mind, gets the gun, tells her, "We're getting in the car, we're gonna go kill Kid Cudi."
Kid Cudi.
I can absolutely imagine a scenario where Diddy would do that to Capricorn. Capricorn's like, "Hey, I don't wanna do this." He's like, "I don't give a fuck what you wanna do. You're getting in the car." And I can absolutely imagine a scenario where she gets in the fucking car and they go to Kid Cudi's house against her will. Guess what that is? That's kidnapping. That is
Right,
kidnapping. That is
right,
abduction. He took her, according to her, which I believe, against her will. Uh, if
right.
he has a gun,
Who anybody in the right mind would want to go kill like, wake up and be like, "We're gonna go kill somebody." "Oh,
yeah,
okay."
sure.
Like, yeah,
But
no, she's
and it's
not
like,
gonna wanna
why'd
do it.
she get
Yeah,
in the car? Because he had a fucking gun. Because he's
right.
violent. He's known to be violent, and she doesn't wanna die that day. Like, it just
Mhm.
pissed me off that they're like, "Seems the kidnapping seemed pretty far-fetched." No, it doesn't. Cassie was intimate with Kid Cudi while she was with Puffy. Puffy could cheat on her, but she could not cheat on him. That is
Right.
how their relationship worked. He was a violent guy. He was a jealous guy. He was a controlling guy. Of course, I can believe that he made Capricorn get in the fucking car to go kill Kid Cudi. I can absolutely believe it. And to go a step further, didn't he fucking put a bomb in Kid Cudi's car? Or it's been alleged that, yeah,
Oh, probably, I don't remember that part, but I wouldn't put it past him, so
so of course I can believe it. So there's this story, and I want to say I'm getting the facts correct. I want to say it was Kid Cudi had a Porsche, and he came out one day and like basically it was all blown up. Like there had been a
Oh.
bomb in it, and it was alleged that Diddy did it. So that wasn't
Oh,
in the
well, yeah.
documentary. So I don't know if I even got my facts straight on that, but it's like a core memory. So, but yeah, so just for the jurors to say like, "Oh, I found her kidnapping to be really like hard to believe." Why do you think it's hard to believe? She's talking about a man that has a known history with gunplay, with
Oh my god.
with
Yes.
people dying in front of him by guns, with people being shot by people that he's affiliated with, that he potentially is connected to. Like it's not a far fetched thing for her to have been kidnapped and brought to Kid Cudi's house. So that these jurors really, and the way that the female juror was laughing, she kept fucking laughing. That pissed
I
me off.
know.
Now, I don't know what the context is. I don't know if it's editing and the producer said something funny and she found that but I did not appreciate it. I did
No,
not
me either.
appreciate it.
No.
So, before we move on to this is such a hard left. Before we move on to housewives, because we are going to record an
Uh-huh.
episode of Say Yes to the Mess right after this. Is there anything else you want to say about this documentary?
There's, like, so
I know there's
I feel like
so
not
much.
that I guess there could have been an 8-part
Yes.
documentary, to be honest, because, it's just, like, when they go through chronologically all the things, there's just too men like, Kim Porter, his relationship with
Yes.
her and how he took her from Al B. Sure, but Ki they didn't even touch on Kim Porter's
Yes.
death, and how
How
that
that
is, like,
may
for a
potentially be connected
47
to
yeah.
Diddy.
Yeah, it was, like, undetermined, she's 47-year-old, she's found dead in LA, and then it ends up being pneumonia, which it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, how
Interesting.
interesting." And then, his possible with Biggie's death, that was something that, he could have had some kind of, because he needed to, like, get him out of the way so that he could really emerge, I think because he really rode on his coattails
Yes.
up until that
And at the
point.
very least,
Um
if Diddy was not directly connected to, like, maybe putting a hit out on, Biggie, at the very least, like they talked about in the documentary, it seems very likely that he basically led him into his death, knowing that Biggie did not wanna stay in California.
He didn't wanna
He
be there,
wanted to go
yep,
to London for the presser. He did not wanna be there. He knew it was dangerous. He knew that at that time, you don't just go walking around if you're from the East Coast route, like, you're not gonna be walking around California thinking like you're safe. So, and
right,
Diddy's like, "No, you're staying. Cancel the flight." So it's like, at the very least, maybe he did like he put Biggie in a very dangerous situation, and look what happened.
yeah, right. And then, like, he, did that whole, service through, for Biggie in New York, like a funeral service, but then he had the family and Biggie's estate
Pay
ended up
for
paying for it,
it.
even though he acted like he was gonna pay for it. I mean, it's just basically the whole thing is about his manipulation, his how corrupt he is as a person, and yet, you know, this is what's kinda hard, and this is where I think the crux of all of this and why I mean, if this is really true what 50 Cent is trying to do, is he's basically saying, like, "We no lo we have to make this so that we're not co-signing this behavior any
Yeah,
further." Like, there's a lot of people I mean, look at Suge Knight's in jail to this day. I would love to know all the things that he's done too, but
absolutely.
it's a lot of people that got away with a lot of things because they made a lot of money for a lot of uh, music companies, and there's a lot of things that got swept under the
Yes.
rug, but there's people who died because of it. There are people that are, they changed the course of their life due to abuse or sexual assault or whatever. So I think that it's an important documentary. I'm glad it was made. It was so well
Yep.
done, but I could watch 4 more
I
episodes.
could too. Well,
Like,
the good news is
easy.
that there's a I don't know if it's a rumor, but Steve was looking up online and there's talk that 50 Cent's in development are going to be putting out a part 2 to this.
Oh,
And then
thank
I
God.
asked him, what was it
Okay.
gonna focus on? And of course, my it dropped right out of my memory. He said it's gonna focus on more about his relationship with Biggie, how that came to be, and then how it ultimately ended, like, dive more into the Puff Daddy and the Biggie smalls of it all. So
Right.
that will be
Right.
interesting if that happens. I wanna say 2 more things. I found it illuminating, and it totally makes sense that they said in this documentary that, like, Biggie's mom never really fucked with Puffy. She didn't really like him.
Yeah.
She didn't trust him, she didn't
Mhm.
like him. That made perfect sense, and it made it even more gross to see Puffy up there dancing on that fucking
Ugh.
stage with that white outfit and the mom acting like
Yes,
you're
I
doing this
know,
all
and
for
they've been
Biggie.
skipping around.
God,
I know.
get
Ugh.
out of here. So
Yes, I
cringy.
know.
And then I always have wondered, what does J Lo know? Because she was in
Oh,
the
I
club
thought about
that
that this
night
morning.
when
Yeah, she knows
she
something,
knows
honey,
something,
like,
honey, like,
she knows freaking something, and she's keeping her mouth
she
shut.
sure is.
I mean, she really has been completely silent. I think she refuses to speak a word,
Yes,
but she knows a lot,
yes.
or there's she knows
She
enough.
knows something.
So
I'm
I
sorry.
just wish she would, like,
Because he
yeah.
was doing the freak offs and stuff like that, but also just she was in the club that night that he allegedly shot that woman in the nose, but then the other guy went
Mhm.
down for I think it was Shine, a rapper,
Yes.
did like
Right.
10 years in prison. Basically, they're
Yes.
saying he went down for Diddy. It was Diddy who shot,
Right.
pulled the gun out and shot at the in the club. So he has gotten away. That's what really pisses me off is
So
it's
frustrating.
very frustrating. He's gotten away with a lot. My only hope is that when he gets out of prison, and it's not going to be that long from now, because he only was sentenced to 50 months with time served. So my calculations, shit, he'll be out in like what, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. Like it's not enough. It's
Well,
not enough.
it's 50
Yes,
months,
that's
right?
4
That's what it
years, but he
is.
got time served, and I think he was in prison for about a year by the time that he
Yeah.
went in so that he gets that credit. So now it's down to, like, 38 months or something like that.
Right, I know, and he's still trying I mean, he's trying to get out, like, tomorrow, like, he's doing everything he
Of
can,
course he
like
is.
so I'm glad this did come out when it did, 'cause it's just like, let's keep everybody reminded of, like, how and that's why this was good to see the gravity and the, systematic year after year, decades long, abuse that he had and, he didn't pay his artists,
Oh,
like,
yes.
I mean, I can't even there's too many
There's
things
too
to
many
even
things.
bring
We
up
haven't
that
even
this
touched
dude
on
did.
the Aubrey O'Day of it all and making the
Oh, yeah.
band and all. I mean,
Mhm.
this was so sad. I believe the things that were written about somebody said they'd walked in on potentially, the Aubrey they said 100%
Aubrey.
sure that Aubrey
Mhm.
O'Day was being assaulted by Diddy and another man, and I feel for her. It all is disgusting. I believe it all. There is enough and at the end, they talked about there's, like, over 100 civil lawsuits that have been filed against
Yes.
Diddy
Yes.
for SA, and 77 as of this day are still pending. So, good luck to you. I hope that he
I
loses
know.
his whole fucking fortune, and I know that he's playing the game where he transfers assets to
I
his
know.
mom and his this and his that. I just hope they get him. I hope that they get him in the pocketbook. His reputation is irreparably broken. Unfortunately, there will always still be people just like there were with fucking slimy ass OJ Simpson who
Yep.
still love the juice.
Or Bill Cosby, look at Bill
Oh, Bill
Cosby, I mean, that was
Cosby,
that
disgusting.
devastated me, to be honest, because, like, I loved him so much. The Cosby Show literally raised me. I think we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
but, that was so devastating, but look at you cannot the amount of people that came forward once a few came forward, and then it was, like, just, like, 50 to 100, like, whatever it was, like, that were accusing him of the exact same crime, but then he even got out, though.
Yes.
He served some time and then got out of jail.
Yes.
So it's just frustrating,
Yes.
it's like there's no that's the frustrating part, the justice system doesn't seem to be
Well, celebrities
functioning
have a
as it
different
should.
justice system, and we have seen it
That's right.
so many times. We have seen so many, like, who is it? The Danny Masterson, he's in prison for awful, disgusting, sexual assaults. And it's like, I can just imagine he still has, fans that are like, it just, these people will always, they can be convicted of disgusting, heinous things, but people will still idolize them or think that they're cool because they're a celebrity and want to be around them.
Mhm.
And like, it just, I don't know. It's disgusting. And I mean, and there's even like serial killers that commit the most heinous crimes that you can ever imagine. I'm talking like the Ted Bundys and the Richard Ramirez's of the world. And women will still throw themselves at this person. And also like women and men, but like they still are sort of somewhat idolized in certain corners of the world because they've achieved this infamous status, but what got them there was so fucking disgusting, but, like, people still sort of, like, fangirl over some serial
I
killers.
know.
It's
I know, and are
very
supportive. They're, like, still
supportive. So it's
supportive.
weird
Yeah.
how human beings can just sort of, like, compartmentalize and be like,
Mhm.
"But he's just so like, he did this or he did." I don't know. It's just this weird thing, and I'm like, "No, he's a trash, garbage, can of a human being. Why are we idolizing him after he killed multiple
Exactly.
women?" So I don't know. I will never understand it, but hopefully with regard to Diddy, his reputation is irreparably broken. I hope his pocketbook suffers greatly and that he's in the hole the rest of his life due to all these civil suits. That's what I
Mhm.
hope for him. He is going to be getting out of prison unless he kind of fucks up in prison and gets more time, which probably won't happen. But yeah, justice was not served, but I'm hoping that karma is a real bitch. Remember, everyone, be that bitch when it comes to your safety. Always cover your drink, keep your lights on at night. And if your gut's telling you something's off, it probably is. Stay safe out there.